Right, in this lesson, I'm going to show you how to factorize when there's a leading coefficient. In other words, a number in front of the x squared. This work comes from Maths Genie. Let's look at the first question. We're going to take this one, and I want you to write it out. You have 2x squared plus 5x plus 2. The first thing I want you to do is multiply the first term and the last term together. So in other words, the 2 and the 2, just the numbers. So you're going to say 2 times 2 and you get 4. Here, I want you then to make factors. In other words, what are the factors of 4? Either 1 and 4 or 2 and 2. Which pair adds, because that is a plus, so which pair adds to give me 5? The pair that add to give me 5 are 1 and 4. So now this is where you need to concentrate a bit. I'm going to write 2x squared, and then I'm going to write this as 1x and 4x. So I'm going to say plus x plus 4x, and then you've still got the plus 2. You are now going to factorize in parts. So what I mean by that is you're going to factorize the first two terms. So what can come out of the first two terms? Only an x, and you'd be left with 2x plus 1. You are now going to factorize the last two terms. So what can come out of those two? A 2, and you are left with 2x plus 1. If you have done this correctly, you will always have two brackets which are identical. Once you've reached that point and you can see you've done this properly, you write down the bracket that is identical, but you only do it once, and then you put in brackets whatever's left over. So I had an x and I had a plus 2. And that is 2x squared plus 5x plus 2 factorized. Write this down, pause, write this down, make sure you've made little notes. I'm going to talk you through the next one. Okay, so let's talk about the next one. I'm leaving the first one on the screen so that you can see it and see the similarities. So I've got 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. Step 1, multiply those two numbers together. So I have 2 times 12, which is 24. I'm now going to find the factors of 24. So I've got 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. I'm adding because that is a plus, and I would like to get 11. So the pair of factors that would add to give me 11 are 8 and 3. So I write down the first term again, 2x squared. But now I'm going to split this up. And I split this up into 3x and 8x. Then I write down the plus 12. Factorize in parts. So if you factorize the first two, the only thing that can come out is an x. And I'm left with 2x plus 3. Factorize the next two. What can come out? Well, the biggest number that can come out is a 4. And I'm left with 2x plus 3. So again, you can see that two brackets are identical. So I write them down, 2x plus 3, but I only do it once. And whatever is left over goes into a bracket of its own. Right, again, write that out, copy it into the book, press pause if necessary. I would like you to now try the 3x squared plus 17x plus 10 equals 0 on your own. I will give a full mark scheme as soon as you are ready. I would also like you to try the next one of 2x squared minus x minus 1. I haven't shown you what to do with the negatives, but I'd like to see what you come up with. In question 3, there's an added bonus of it being equal to 0. I want to see if you remember what to do with that. Pause now, and then when you are ready, I will go through 3 and 4. Right, I've written question 3 again. Step 1, multiply the first and last. So I've got 3 times 10 is 30. Now I want the factors of 30, which are 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. You do not have to do this step every single time. Eventually you'll get used to identifying which pair work. But until that point, I would suggest you write them all down. I want to add factors to get 17. So the pair that would work are 2 and 15. So I'm going to say 3x squared. Now I'm going to use that 17 and split it up into 2x and 15x. And then bring down the 10 equals to 0. Factorizing parts. So I have x on the outside and 3x plus 2 plus. Factorizing parts. What can come out is a 5 and I'm left with 3x plus 2. Two of the brackets are the same, which means I've done this right. So I get 3x plus 2 and x plus 5. Now I did say that this was going one step further, and it goes one step further because it is equal to 0. Whenever it is equal to 0, it means you are literally solving for x. So you take each bracket and make it equal to 0 itself. You are then going to get x on its own. So for the first one, I would take the 2 across and it becomes negative. So I get 3x is equal to negative 2. Then I divide by 3, and I get x equals negative 2 over 3. For the second one, I'm just taking the 5 across, so it becomes minus 5, and I get x equals minus 5. So if the instruction says solve, you have to do this as well. If it just says factorize, you can stop at the 2 brackets. Right, I'm now going to answer question 4. Here's question 4. The negative is going to throw you off slightly, so I'm going to show you what to do with it. You start off the same way, so you can say 2 times 1, and I get 2. The only two factors of 2 are 1 and 2, which definitely subtract to give me 1. What you've got to concentrate on now is that I want an answer of negative 1. So if I take 1 and 2, how can I get negative 1? Would it be 1 minus 2, or would it be negative 1 plus 2? Because it gives you a different answer. The correct would be 1 minus 2. So in other words, the 2 is negative and the 1 is positive. So you do have to have that little extra when it comes to a negative question. Now it continues to be the same. So I write down the 2x squared. But now I'm going to write down plus 1x minus 2x minus 1. From here, it continues to be the same. Factorize the first 2. I can take x out, and I am left with 2x plus 1. Factorize the next 2, but now you've got to be careful because negatives change everything. There is nothing I can take out, so I'm simply going to take out a minus 1. If I take out a minus 1, I am left with 2x plus 1. Remember, negatives change everything. If I've taken a negative out, then the 2x becomes positive because I'm dividing by negative. And if I take a negative out, this negative becomes a positive because I'm dividing by a negative. Either way, I now have these 2 brackets looking the same, which means I know I'm right. So I have 2x plus 1, and I have x minus 1. Make sure you have got that copied down, and then you are going to try some questions on your own. I have shown you how to do the first 4. You are now going to try these questions. I want you to pause, take your time to do this properly. Pay attention to the words factorize or solve. Make sure you're writing down all your steps. When you're ready, unpause, and I will show you the full mark scheme for each question. I want to use question 5 to just point out one very important fact. and that is that your factors can be written the wrong way around or just a different way around. So this is the same question, the blue and the pink, they are the same question. But in the first example, I know that I'm using the factors 2 and 9 to get 11. And I know they both have to be negative because this is a negative in the middle, and the plus means I'm adding them. What I've done differently, though, is that in the pink one, I did minus 2x minus 9x, but for the next one, I did minus 9x minus 2x. What happens is that when you factorize it, you actually still get the same answers, just the other way around. So for the first one, I can just take out the x, and I'm left with 3x minus 2. Negative change everything, so when you take out your negative, inside it changes, but you get two brackets to be the same. In the second example, I've put the 9x first. Because I've done that, I can take out a 3x from both, and I'm left with x minus 3. Take out the minus 2, and I'm still left with x minus 3. So if you see, in both questions, I've got a 3x minus 2, and in both questions, I've got an x minus 3. They are both correct, but I've approached them from two different angles, and that is absolutely fine. Here's the full mark scheme for questions 6, 7, and 8. Pause at this point so you can mark your work. When you are ready, unpause so that you can see the next three questions. My apologies, the next two questions. Here are the mark schemes for the next two questions, questions 9 and 10. Please pause and make sure that you have marked your work and made corrections. Here are 10 questions for you to try. The first 5 are straightforward and similar to what we have just been doing. The next 3 we have not done in this video, but I'd love to see what you come up with. And 19 and 20 are similar to the first 5, but you've got this added little bonus of having a y squared on the end, and that's a little bit of a challenge for you. Give yourself about 20 minutes and then unpause, and the mark schemes will be on the screen. Here are the answers to questions 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Note that 12 and 15 asked you to solve, so I did go that one step further. Here are the answers to 16, 17, and 18. They were only 2 terms each. Once I had taken out a common factor in each question, I noticed that the bracket that was left behind was the difference of 2 squares. The difference of 2 squares literally means difference, subtract, 2 square numbers. X squared is squared, 49 is squared. When you're solving this, the 2 brackets will look identical, except that one will be a plus and one will be a minus, and it doesn't matter which way. The square root of x squared is x, the square root of 49 is 7. The square root of x squared is x, the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of x squared is x, the square root of 16 is 4. Here are the solutions to 19 and 20. 19 is actually a little trickier because this 1 makes you think that it should be doing more, but 1 is just 1 times 1. And then the 2xy gets split into 1xy and 1xy. And what happens is you end up with 2 brackets that are identical, so you can write it one of these 2 ways. For question 20, you might have used 2 and 15, but 2 and 15 would have only worked if this were a minus. In other words, if I was subtracting to get 13. But in this case, I'm adding to get 13, so I have to use the 3 and the 10. And then you take out your factors, and I'm left with 2x plus 3y and x plus 5y. Hope you learned something today. Bye.